That's a tough call, obviously, but I think there was some optimism around it yesterday and kind of over the last 48 hours that if there really hasn't been anything turned up, why shouldn't he be able to play? So there's certainly some optimism, but there's just nothing obviously for sure.
It feels like Wade and Smart are aligned in availability. Is that not true? I mean, it feels like one goes with the other. If one's cleared, the other one should be, right?
I think it's a little bit more complicated with Wade because of the investigation and his subpoena and all of those things. And obviously they've got to work out however they're going to meet about all of this, and because they still do have to meet, of course, and talk about it. And if that's something that he doesn't want to do, on LSU's terms, like you've talked about, then it's going to be difficult for Wade to return to the bench. But if Javante and his family and his circle have all cooperated, which they have from all indications, then why shouldn't he be able to play if nothing has really come up?
Bill, I gave my analysis about the situation yesterday. I think that it's poor leadership once again plaguing LSU. Why is LSU in this position in your opinion?
I I think it's more so because they acted, I would say, too swiftly in response to a report that in reality didn't really change probably the way Will Wade was perceived. He was caught, on that wiretap a year ago with, reportedly talking about, trying to get an offer on the table for Balsa Koprivica, and now this comes out. But there's again no, you know, specifics or what have you, and so this is more of a reaction to, I think, the player being on the team, and just the groundswell of emotion from the national really media and perspective and things like that. But I think them trying to create a response at this point in time is what got them into this situation. Whereas, they could have just sat back and kind of um, continued to collect information, continue to monitor it, and all of those things. And to be honest, probably backed the guys a little bit more than they have, because, like you said, now they back themselves into the corner where they don't really, in my opinion, have, and I don't know, but they don't. It doesn't seem like they have any evidence either way. So right now, you're penalized Javante Smart again for something that, again, not much evidence there, outside of the obvious somewhat innuendos from that reported wiretap, um, and so really just them trying to create a response when they probably didn't need to is what now has them in this just a PR nightmare.
Yeah, I mean they could have like Arizona, like every other school. Like there's like 20 something schools named in this. There's up to 50. Like they could have just stayed the course and let this play out. That's now done. Both sides have doubled down. Billy, more likely than not, what do you think? Does Wade ever coach? I'm not saying 100% yes or no, but just in an odd standpoint, does Wade ever coach an LSU uniform again?
I think it's just going to be very difficult. That's when the trust like this has been, I think, violated um, between the two parties. I mean, LSU has basically said, "Look, we don't we don't trust you," and Wade, probably would have been fine with just meeting with the athletic department. Now you involve an NCAA investigator, and here's the thing: if there's this federal investigation going on, right? So if you're sitting there, and it's LSU, it's Will Wade, and an NCAA investigator, and they ask him the question, and LSU asks the question, and he has to say, "No, I'm sorry, I can't talk about that because it's a federal investigation," or his counsel says, "No, we can't comment because it's a federal investigation," then that's probably viewed as being evasive by the NCAA. Then the NCAA has more reason to dig into things and do all those things, which they probably already should be just doing their job anyway. But it should be a conversation that should be able to be had with Will Wade and LSU without all of these conditions. And that didn't happen, and I think that's probably a violation of trust, which is going to ultimately hurt the relationship enough where it's going to be very difficult for him to come back and coach. I will say that, Will Wade is Joe Oliva's guy. I mean, he made the hire. They're, you mentioned this, they're tied at the hip. And so I think that is one thing that is working in terms of Will Wade returning to LSU, most likely next season rather than this season. But he also has some, plenty, as we've seen, plenty of support from the fans, and there's a lot of high profile supporters of the program that are also in his corner too. So there's a chance, but when a relationship has been strained like this, it's going to be obviously difficult.
Bill, what's lost in this is that the LSU basketball team is a top 10 program right now and the number 1 seed in the SEC tournament going into a potential March run here. How do you imagine they play tomorrow?
I think they play with similar energy to the energy they had Saturday in the PMAC. I think that they're going to have to do more work on themselves to match that, just because you're playing in a neutral site. It's going to be almost a week removed from that high energy environment and everything that was going around the program at that time, and it's probably going to have teetered off just a little bit now. They'll get word on whether Javonte Smart will play or not, which could give them a boost either way. I mean, it could kind of tick them off, or it could amp them up a little bit more because he'd be back. But they've got to make sure they're channeling that energy in the right direction, and they're obviously going to play a team. Whatever team they play, Arkansas or Florida, they've lost to once in SEC play this year. They'll have their work cut out for them, especially I think if they get Florida. That just seems like a really difficult matchup for them, as we've seen this year. But I do think they'll have energy. They'll be ready to go.
Billy, thanks for the time this morning, man.
Anytime, guys.
All right, Billy, take it easy, man.
Billy Embody from Go247 Sports. Read all of what he has going on there on Twitter. He puts out his stories as well at Billy Embody. All right, we'll be back and close out hour number 1.